South Africa, tada! Sit down for a second and actually listen, because today I have 3 truth bombs for you, and all 3 of them matter deeply and are connected with one another for very different reasons. We first have the Madlanga Commission dropping the most explosive documents yet. I'm talking phone chats from a senior crime intelligence officer that connect the South African Police Service, a tobacco smuggler, a drug dealer, drugs, an EFF gala dinner, and Julius Malema once again himself into one very uncomfortable web. Once again, Julius Malema finds himself into the chaos of the Madlanga Commission. Quite a coincidence, isn't it? The man who was on Sky News and told the whole world he was the poorest politician in South Africa, spending his own money on a team of lawyers to try and put a random podcast host in jail for 6 months because that podcast host was saying things about him that Malema says are lies. If they were lies, I don't know why he's paying so much attention to them. And we will talk about why the intensity of that legal pursuit is itself a question worth asking out loud. He's found himself in the Madlanga Commission again. And then we have a quiet but genuinely important court victory. Yes, whippy! From a civil society organization called Sakelika, that most South Africans have never even heard of. That's right, and that was deliberate. You guys never hear of the good guys. And they just made it illegal for the South African government to demand BEE compliance from international airlines as a condition of operating in this country. A win that has implications far beyond aviation, and that tells us something important about where the legal battle against race-based economic policy is actually heading. Let us get into all of it. If this channel gives you something, teaches you something, makes you laugh, makes you cry, makes you think, or makes you angry in the right direction, consider buying me a coffee. The link is in the description below. It's the first link you'll run into. I research all of this myself, as you know. I film all of this myself. No sponsors. And I show up every week because I genuinely believe South Africans deserve content that respects their intelligence, their integrity, their morale, and does not talk to them. Talk down at them. Talk down to them. You get the idea. No paywalls here. No subscription required. Everything in this channel is going to stay free. But if you want to say thank you in a small way, the link is in the description below. Your donations are much appreciated. Even one coffee keeps the lights on and keeps me at the desk. Much appreciated either way. And the pillow, yes, he hasn't left yet. He says thank you too. Couldn't have done this without him. Now, the Madlanga Commission. We keep coming back here because this commission just keeps delivering. I told you guys, it's the most interesting thing we've had in years, more than any soapy. People keep telling me about Fatal Seduction on Netflix. It is nothing. It doesn't even hold a candle to the Madlanga Commission. And the Madlanga Commission is real. Week after week, witness after witness, document after document. And every single time you think you have seen the most shocking thing it is going to produce, it produces something even more shocking than what you initially thought in the first place. This week, the Madlanga Commission made a public set of court documents relating to Major General Feroz Khan, the deputy head of crime intelligence for the South African Police Service. Feroz Khan had been fighting for months to stop the commission from accessing his seized phones and his iPad. Somebody stole my iPad. Remember that Cyril meme? Anyway, Feroz Khan went to court. He got the papers. He demanded papers. He got them. He did everything in his power to keep the content of those devices private. Why? I'll tell you. And then last Monday, without warning, Khan withdrew all his legal actions. He gave up the fight. He gave up. He dropped every application. He stopped resisting. And almost immediately, the Madlanga Commission released the documents publicly. And now we know why he was fighting so hard to keep those private. You see, the chats from Feroz Khan's devices cover a period starting from June 2021, just before the Zuma unrest. And what they show, according to the Commission's lead investigator, Tepo Nyaklo, whose affidavit was released as part of these documents, what they show is a deputy crime intelligence head who was deeply embedded in a network of relationships that had absolutely no business existing in a senior officer's contact list. Let us go through who appears in these chats and what these connections exactly mean, because the individual names sound like a list of unrelated people until you actually understand what connects them all and until you understand how bad this is. The first name is someone called Mohammed Sayed. Mohammed Sayed is the co-founder of Carlinks, a tobacco company. Carlinks has been at the center of allegations about illicit tobacco trade in South Africa for years, many years. The chats show Khan and Mohammed Sayed communicating regularly. Mohammed Sayed allegedly provided Khan with a digital contact card for Julius Malema in August 2021, after the July unrest. Not Malema's public contact, a direct private contact card was given to Mohammed Sayed. Sayed's company then sponsored a table at an EFF gala dinner, and Feroz Khan attended that dinner, sitting at that same table. A deputy head of crime intelligence at an EFF fundraising dinner, sponsored by a man whose tobacco company is under scrutiny for illicit trade, sitting at that man's table. Think about that. Think about what that scene looks like from the outside. The second name in that list is a man called Adriano Mazzotti. Now, this name will be very familiar to South Africans who follow political funding. Adriano Mazzotti, for those of you who don't know him, is a cigarette and tobacco businessman who has been described as one of the EFF's most significant funders. In fact, he appeared in the Zondo Commission in connection with his relationships with various political figures. That's how big he is in political funding. He appears in Feroz Khan's contact sphere as well. The Commission's investigator confirms that Adriano Mazzotti's name surfaces in the chats as a shared contact between Feroz Khan and Mohammed Sayed, a senior cop, a tobacco businessman under scrutiny, and a political party's major donor, all in the same communication thread. What connects them all? The EFF. Third connection, Timi Marimutu, a convicted drug dealer. The chats show that Feroz Khan used his position to shape parliamentary questions about Bheki Cele's links to Marimutu. Listen to what I just said again slowly. A senior crime intelligence officer by the name of Feroz Khan was crafting parliamentary questions, the formal mechanism by which Parliament holds the executive accountable, to ask about a police minister's relationship with a drug dealer. This is not whistleblowing through small proper channels. That is a state official using parliamentary processes as some sort of a weapon in what appears to be a factional political battle. The Commission's job is to determine whose side Feroz Khan was fighting on when he did that and why. And then there is none other than the Julius Malema connection, which is the one that is going to cause the most noise. Yes, Malema's in it again. The Commission's investigator Nyaklo states in his affidavit that the evidence suggests Julius Malema provided political protection for Feroz Khan. That is a very serious claim. Political protection in this context means using your political influence, parliamentary questions, public statements, party machinery to create a shield around a state official who might otherwise face accountability because he is doing your job. He is protecting you. The commission reached this conclusion based on the pattern of communications, the EFF gala dinner attendance, the Malema contact card provided by Mohammed Sayed, and other exchanges in the seized devices. Feroz Khan is now scheduled to testify before the commission starting July 1st. That testimony is going to be must-watch television for anyone who cares about what is actually happening inside South African law enforcement. If you care, you're going to watch this. Before we get to July, let me give you the broader picture, because individual names and individual chats only make sense when you understand exactly what the Madlanga Commission is actually investigating. Some of you don't know this, and I understand. You're just too traumatized to know. You don't even want to know because it's that bad. You see, the Madlanga Commission was established to probe something that almost sounds unbelievable until you look at the facts, until you look at the evidence. The suggestion, which is being proven piece by piece by piece through testimony and documentation, that organized crime syndicates and drug cartels in South Africa did not just bribe individual police officers here and there. They systematically infiltrated the institutions themselves. They placed assets inside crime intelligence. They cultivated relationships with politicians who could protect those assets. They used the machinery of the state, parliamentary questions, tender processes, disciplinary hearings, criminal investigations as tools in their own factional wars. The Big Five cartel that we have discussed in previous episodes in connection with Vusimuzi Ket Matlala was not just a criminal gang that occasionally paid a cop now and again. It was allegedly a structured network with tentacles inside the police, inside municipal governments, inside political parties, and apparently inside the office of the deputy head of crime intelligence, Feroz Khan. If even half of what the commission has heard so far is accurate, South Africa does not have a corruption problem within its police service. It has a captured police service. Those two statements I just mentioned are two very different things with very different solutions. Now, Ngizwe Mchunu and Julius Malema, and the question that everybody is talking about, that most mainstream media is actually being very careful about how it phrases it, which is interesting. You see, here is the full timeline, because the timeline matters enormously for understanding what is actually happening. For those of you who don't know, in April this year, there was someone by the name of Ngizwe Mchunu. He is a podcast host, former radio presenter, a founder of the Binga Nation platform, someone who has been very publicly involved in the anti-immigration protest movement. In fact, I made a video defending him at one stage because they tried to cancel him for homophobic statements, but he was just saying his own opinion. Yes, so that same guy I defended almost a year ago is now joining in anti-immigration protest movements. Now he started making a series of very specific allegations about Julius Malema on all his platforms because he's a podcaster. You see, Ngizwe Mchunu said Malema received 60 million rand from Nigerian drug dealers. He said Malema profited from the VBS Mutual Bank scandal, which is already, by the way, a very well-documented allegation that has followed Malema longer than I've been at school, I think, by now. He said Malema benefited financially from the on-point engineering corruption scandal. He called Malema a dog. He called Malema a political devil. He called Malema a dead snake. Very colorful, very specific on some things, very personal on others. I think there's a personal dispute between these two. Malema responded not by giving an interview to deny these allegations, not by releasing a public statement explaining his finances, not even by holding one of his famous press conferences with documents, which he never does. Maybe he could have done something different. You want to know what he did? He responded by going straight to court and getting an interdict. The Gauteng High Court on the 12th of May 2026 issued an order restraining Ngizwe Mchunu from repeating those statements. If he does, he goes to jail. Malema also demanded a public retraction and a 1 million rand settlement. Mchunu initially complied with the letter of the order. He retracted, he apologized, case settled, you might think, right? Except Ngizwe Mchunu then went back online. On the 20th and 21st of May, 1 week after the court order, Ngizwe Mchunu republished the prohibited statements, not new statements, the same ones the court had specifically ordered him not to repeat. The court found out that this was intentional. Judge Etienne Christoffel Labuscagna, on the 5th of June 2026, he found Ngizwe Mchunu guilty of contempt of court, issued an immediate warrant of arrest, and ordered Ngizwe Mchunu detained for 10 days. Mchunu again apologized, profusely, unreservedly, unconditionally. His words, he said he was remorseful. He said he would comply. And then on the 6th of June, just 2 days ago, 1 day after that second court ruling, Ngizwe Mchunu allegedly continued making defamatory statements about Malema again. The same statements in defiance of 2 separate court orders. And that is what triggered the current application filed on the 8th of June, which is about a day and a half ago, seeking months imprisonment without the option of a fine. Mchunu handed himself over to police yesterday morning. He was not jailed because Malema's new 6-month application put the 10-day warrant on hold, pending the June 17th hearing. So Mchunu is currently free as we speak, but the matter and the beef is not over. Far, actually. Now, here is the question that I said everybody is asking, and I want to ask plainly. Summer Sambit wants to ask this because I think you deserve a YouTuber who asks uncomfortable questions. Why is Julius Malema, a man who has faced allegations of corruption, VBS involvement, financial impropriety, criminal charges over the years, the Madlanga Commission, that guy, why is he spending this amount of legal resources to silence specifically this one man